So there's a thing on limitations on speech. Essentially, there's a drunken public situation. They have all these go-tos that they charge people with, and they kind of have a bullshit charge situation. And then in case you think about it, drunken public, like, what is really the problem with drunken public? Once we get all the cars like automated or whatever, then there really actually isn't a problem, and then it's unsuitable in regard to kidnapping, armed robbery, stuff like that, like Hammurabi's Code stuff. Anyway, another thing about limitations on freedom of speech is contempt of court. There's a racketeering situation. They are advising you not to defend yourself, to take a pre-felony agreement or something, and sometimes they have a defense, and then they're just like, I'm not going through all 30 things, main parts of it, though. There's a situation where, like, even in professional ghosting, you call in 5 times, they use rude and demanding customer, and just like for being rude, you're called in, a reporter, sarcastic about reporter, like there's cease and desist research and stuff. I don't think, it's usually the second suffix of a sentence of something that's happening, and then the reportee is called in and forced to say these words that the law enforcement isn't having, and then the only individual they're getting it from, when the reporter could be responsible from it, as they're letting any forcible sabotage attempt go through in society every time. Be successful, force on sabotage attempt, bear false witness against thy neighbor, seditious conspiracy, and then this dude is screaming, and it's usually in the second suffix. Even rude and demanding customer, like he's dependent on his next month's rent or something, the only individual who can accommodate them isn't. And then you get them like, you get their lives fucked into a chain reaction, right? And anyway, there's a way to get about this racketeering bullshit in regard to foreshadowing the decision. Not just getting the defense, completely tackling this advising situation, getting other punishment options in regard to the Hammurabi's Code stuff, and foreshadowing the decision so that there can be a response to that defense in regard to these 30 main things about what else there is besides all these main problems. I'm not sure there's 30 main problems. There might be. There's a list of problems outside these 30 main things that need primarily focused on. Like sometimes all the judge has is a charge, and then they don't interpret it correctly why the individual's talking, and then it all comes down to these 30 main things that are their main factors in racketeering you with a bullshit charge. Though they, quite frankly, the biggest part of it, something we need to include with foreshadowing the gavel or whatever in the debate about only screwing that dude in the judge-cop advising situation, where they do some of these main 30 things, is where the individual, in the cases this has happened to him before, is aware of this, like all the way back from during being arrested. Yeah, right. Main thing to go about it would be to have them actually respond, not using a bullshit charge like in the book, what their actual motivations are in regard to every sentence of what the defendant says, record it and play it back, and then get exactly why, and then we can go over any committed to versus commit problem, any discrepancy, and there can be a lot of foreshadowing responses after the main defense, and then a continued elaboration tackling more than just these main 30 things and these other problems and stuff like that in regard to what the actual motivations are to determine that it is not racketeering, because we cannot have 5 digits stripped from us in our 20s. More than half of the population. Like, I'm not really kidding you. Essentially, you have to respond to every sentence. You can't just let 10 sentences go by. You had to sit there and respond to every sentence and tell us why you disagree with it. And then after letting 10 minutes go by, somehow during the last minute where they start insulting you, which is and then you just find them guilty because of that or something, you need to go back and respond to what he said during those first 10 minutes, quite frankly. There's not going to be any limitations on speech with this type of stuff going down when everyone has smartphones. And there's a cease and desist research thing where people call in and say they don't want anything to happen from regular reportees, either side, like don't want anything to happen to individuals, like in regard to, until they see the type of stuff that the chain reaction stuff, and then it's like there are things that might not seem right about this, though quite frankly, like it's more right than it was. You're right.